It was dark, so I turned on my flashlight. Chris was staring at the mannequin. It had makeup on its face and wore her clothes. Movement above me came from bats. I never believed those old stories of bats and belfries, but now I was witness. I couldn't see Arthur, so I turned to Chris. Everyone's gone, and I don't like this place. He smiled, calmly, beatifically. Let's go to my home, I said. You won't have to get into trouble. I can sneak you in without my folks noticing. Chris smiled at me calmly, and then he did something I'd swear I'd never seen anyone do. His elbows and knees kind of bent backwards. His shirt buttons popped on the front, and 4 enormous spider legs pulled the fabric aside, exposing an abdomen. All this time, he was smiling calmly. Behind me, I began to hear laughter. It was coming from the mannequin. It was low and long and cruel, like not a giggling. The laugh would start small and crescendo, louder and louder each time. Fear is not just a feeling. Fear is a part of the body. Fear causes one to flinch. Its oppression causes thinking to freeze. I stared at the spider that had Chris's face. At first I was dumb, and then I began to babble. Don't hurt me, please. My parents are poor. They need me to get a good education and I can work in their old age. Chris Spider was in attack range. A spider needs all 8 legs to walk. When it is in attack range, it rears onto its back 6 legs. This exposes the mandibles, which are its teeth. I could see that Chris's rear spinnerets were silking the ladder. Doubting that I was doing the right thing, I leapt forward, avoiding the mandibles and pushing past the legs. I dove headfirst down the ladder, grabbing a rung on the way down. This caused me to swing rather than to fall, and my shins collected the entrance to the attic, causing me to let go of the rung and hurtle headfirst to the floor. My shoulder collected a rung and spun my body around so that I landed on my feet. Thin, reedy wail of sound came from the cat, which had softened my fall, and now raced towards its hidey hole. My leg was hurt, and I scrambled towards the steps to the front porch, past the living and dining rooms, but the door was shut and locked. The dining room had seemed different. I looked in. 4 elderly men with long beards were seated at the dinner places. I recognized one. I'd known Arthur was Japanese. I'd never noticed it, though, because Arthur was one of us. This old man was Japanese, and he was Arthur. And now that I was alerted to this, I looked more closely at the head of the table. It was Chris. Chris was smiling gently and invited me to join them for dinner. I backed away into the living room. Joffman said, "Come join us. It is the only way to free us of the curse." The body of a spider is smooth and soft. I felt this as I stepped back into the living room. 4 spiders were seated in the 5 places. They had the faces of Chris, Arthur, Joff were big. Big, the old man said that it was the curse. The only way to remove the curse would be to have dinner with him. My head swam, my legs ached as I walked to the remaining dinner place. A curse. I could free us. I still thought I was one of us. The dinner place was complete, a beautiful fruit bowl with polished and fresh fruit, various roast meats. I was scared but hungry, but I finished my dinner. The bones by the side of the plate spelt a message afterwards, telling me that the flesh that fell so easily from the bone had been my friend. I felt sick. My friends. I felt sorry for myself. I felt sick. The spiders were gone. I might have felt relief. I felt sick. That might have been the end of things. I would have preferred it if it had been. Instead, I became restless. I wanted to go home. I wanted that I'd never gone to that house. I went to the door. Its lock was broken. The door was now ajar. It swung open easily, the door skull hanging from the rope, knocking the door with a sharp report. Pausing to look at the space where my friends had so recently moved snow. And as I opened the fence, the worst was to come. I became a spider. Spiders move so quickly. I was at home, the back door was unlocked, and I went upstairs to my room. The upstairs level of our house is a collection of 3 bedrooms and 2 toilets along a small corridor. To get to my bedroom, I had to walk past my sister's. I stopped at her doorway. She was playing, and she had her back to me. She was seated on the ground, one leg outstretched and the other curled into a bundle she could rest her chin on. She was absorbed in putting some of her Cindy fashions on my He-Man action figure. I think that is why I acted as I did, because she was misusing my toy. Spiders only require moisture and protein to live. I had my fill of protein, but felt thirsty. My sister just seemed so juicy. My mandible broke her neck and I sucked out her blood. I don't think she felt a thing. I dragged her body to hang it from her wardrobe. Maybe I'd come back later. The bathroom was closer to the steps, and when I heard my mother coming upstairs, I hid in the bathroom. For some reason, I began to shrink. When she saw me, I was the size of a rather large spider, but not a monster anymore. She called out to Dad, even joked about bringing the elephant gun, which we didn't own. Then, because she realized I'd not been long in the bathroom, or because of some other reason, she went to check on my sister's room. Dad approached me with a rolled-up newspaper. Before he got his shot in, I heard my mother's screams. I guess she found sister. I mean, it might have been consolable, if that were it. If my life had ended with the destruction of my spider self, but there was more to the curse. Although I held my life forfeit for my actions, I didn't die. I slept. I do not know for how long, but it was quite a while. I explored my world. To become a spider, it was necessary to step outside the gate. Inside the gate, I became an old man, just as my friends had become. I tried to warn people about the curse. They ignored me. I yelled at them and cast stones. They ignored me. I watched the street from the upper story windows. It was easier to see the street at night, by streetlight. I could think then, plan to find a way out of the curse. A neighbor of mine, who also was a victim, came up with a clever idea of selling the house. It is cold night. The house is sold. A family of 5, a successful businessman. Maybe now the curse will end. I'm before the fireplace, seated. I think of horror, my friends. Horror. My sister, horror. I think of horror, horror, horror.